what if, in just the blink of an eye, your organization's entire digital world just went dark? No access to customer data, no emails, no operations at all. The financial fallout, the reputational damage, it could be catastrophic, potentially costing millions per minute. Are you, and maybe your future career, actually ready for that? Well, that almost inevitable moment. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're embarking on a really crucial exploration, diving deep into the heart of network and systems security. We're specifically focusing on incident preparation, investigation, and the organizational resilience that keeps businesses not just surviving, but actually thriving, even when facing these constant threats. This deep dive is pretty much tailor-made for you, whether you're a student maybe in BCIS 4345 at Tarleton State University's Dr. Ciampa College of Business, or perhaps an early career professional in MIS, CIS, or IT. We'll be drawing insights from the CompTIA Security Plus Guide to Network Security Fundamentals and also bringing in some real-world industry perspectives. The goal: to equip you with the knowledge and skills vital for a robust career in cybersecurity.
Yeah, our mission today is really to give you a solid foundational understanding of how organizations prepare for, respond to, and ultimately recover from cyber events. And maybe more importantly, we want to show you how you could position yourself as a key player in this high-stakes field. Someone who truly understands that continuous process of analysis, implementation, evaluation, and maintenance involved in securing today's electronic data systems. We'll uncover that crucial interplay between planning, cutting-edge technology, and, of course, human expertise in safeguarding our incredibly interconnected world. It's all about ensuring the integrity of information, messaging, databases, alongside robust physical security and overall governance.
Okay, so now that we've kind of set the stage with the critical stakes involved, let's turn our attention to the foundational strategies businesses use to protect themselves. We should probably start at the core, right? The heart of organizational resilience. But before we really unpack this, if you find value in these kinds of cutting-edge insights and practical tips, the stuff that could genuinely protect your career, please just take a quick moment to like, subscribe, and share this deep dive. Don't miss out on these insider tips. And remember, you'll find additional resources and all the materials we mentioned linked down in the description to help you go even deeper. Exploring those computer-related risks, how to implement security measures, and understanding those future trends.
Right. In our, increasingly digital world, simply reacting to cyber threats just isn't enough anymore, is it? Organizations really need a strategic, proactive approach to survive and thrive. And this is where organizational resilience comes in. It's moving beyond just patching vulnerabilities. It's about building a truly robust, adaptive defense that can withstand and recover from any kind of disruption.
Absolutely. And what's truly fascinating here is how resilience moves beyond just the technical fixes. It's not just about firewalls and software. It's really about a holistic framework. It encompasses three critical pillars that, when you combine them, create this incredibly robust defense and recovery posture. These aren't just isolated plans sitting on a shelf. They're interconnected layers. They're designed to protect against those computer-related risks we mentioned, maintain data integrity, and ensure continuous operation across, pretty much all facets of an organization.
That's a great way to put it, like a building, right? You wouldn't just rely on a strong roof. You need a solid foundation, strong walls, and a flexible frame to handle different stresses, earthquakes, hurricanes, you name it. So let's dive into that first pillar, business continuity planning, or BCP.
Okay, business continuity planning. BCP is essentially the master blueprint for an organization's survival. It's a proactive strategy designed to ensure critical functions can continue even during unforeseen disruptions. OrgView describes it pretty well as the framework that ensures your organization can weather storms. And that could mean anything: natural disasters, cyber attacks, pandemics, even severe economic downturns. The core goal of BCP is pretty straightforward. Minimize downtime, ensure that organizational resilience we talked about, and protect revenue, operations, and, importantly, reputation. It's really about more than just keeping the lights on. It's making sure your business can continue delivering value no matter what hits it.
That sounds incredibly comprehensive. So it's not just some technical checklist. It's a full-blown game plan for the entire business operation, like an evacuation plan, but for your critical business functions, not just getting people out of the building. And you mentioned its importance goes way beyond just ticking a regulatory box, even though some rules do require it. Why is it so strategically vital?
Well, connecting it to the bigger picture, a really adaptive BCP can actually turn a crisis into a competitive advantage. Think about it. It allows your organization to pivot faster, maybe even capture market share, while less prepared competitors are struggling. So it's not just survival. It can be about strategically thriving in chaos. Beyond that immediate crisis response, BCP helps businesses capitalize on growth opportunities during good times and navigate economic downturns more effectively.
Right.
It protects against financial losses, potential legal liabilities, and that crucial reputational damage. And consider the cost of downtime. TierPoint reports it can range anywhere from, say, $427 to an absolutely staggering $9,000 per minute.
Per minute.
Oh, yeah, per minute. And in industries like retail, healthcare, and telecom, those costs can be even higher. That figure really puts the value of preparedness into sharp relief, doesn't it?
It really does.
Think about recent major disruptions, like the COVID-19 pandemic. It forced this massive, sudden shift to remote work. Organizations with robust BCPs, especially those with well-tested remote work plans and secure cloud setups, they transitioned relatively smoothly. They maintained productivity, kept customer service going. But those without, many faced severe operational paralysis, security nightmares. They were just scrambling to adapt. Or look back at the 2008 recession. Businesses with flexible continuity plans were much better equipped to adjust operations and manage the financial impact. And now, with the constant evolution driven by the internet, emerging AI having an adaptable, comprehensive BCP is absolutely essential for navigating these future trends.
Okay, that really puts the strategic imperative part into focus. Given the huge stakes and the holistic nature you've described for BCP, it's clearly not a simple checklist. So for organizations actually building this master blueprint, what are the absolute must-have features? What needs to be baked in for it to be truly robust?
Right, a truly robust BCP needs several non-negotiable features. It always starts with risk assessment and business impact analysis, or BIA. This is where you systematically identify potential threats and vulnerabilities, everything from cyber attacks to power outages to supply chain disruptions. Then the BIA part evaluates how these disruptions would affect your critical business functions. You actually quantify the potential financial and operational impact. So for instance, a BIA might show that losing customer payment processing would hit revenue way harder than, say, the internal HR system going down, even though both are important.
Okay, so prioritization is key.
Exactly. It helps you prioritize recovery efforts, ensuring you focus on the most critical things first. This risk analysis is absolutely foundational. Next up, you need clearly defined recovery strategies. These are the concrete step-by-step procedures for things like data backup and restoration, setting up alternative ways to communicate if normal channels are down, and arranging for temporary operational sites. If your main office is inaccessible, where do employees physically go? How do they securely access data and connect with colleagues and customers? These strategies detail the how-to for getting back on your feet. Then comes plan development and documentation. This is where everything gets meticulously written down. Step-by-step procedures, clear roles and responsibilities, who does what contact info for key people, detailed instructions for recovery tasks. Because without clear, accessible, up-to-date documentation, even the best plan is pretty much useless in a crisis. It just leads to chaos and delays. This document is the living blueprint for the whole operation, covering all your approaches and techniques. A comprehensive communication plan is also absolutely vital. During a crisis, timely, accurate information flow to employees, stakeholders, customers is crucial for minimizing confusion and maintaining trust. Who says what? When? Through which channels? It needs to cover internal updates, external statements, regulatory notifications if there's a data breach. Ensuring message integrity is paramount. Training and awareness, this one is often overlooked, but it's incredibly critical. Regular training programs, simulations, tabletop drills, they prepare employees to respond effectively.
Right. It's not enough just to have the plan written down.
Exactly. People need to know how to execute it, especially under pressure. These exercises familiarize staff with their roles, the procedures, and help build that muscle memory, fostering a culture of security awareness. And finally, testing and maintenance. A BCP isn't a set-it-and-forget-it kind of document. Periodic drills are essential to identify gaps or weaknesses. Regular reviews and updates ensure the plan stays relevant as the business changes. As new risks emerge, maybe new technologies are adopted, or the competitive landscape shifts. This continuous evaluation is crucial. This also includes integration with risk management. You need a cohesive approach, identifying, assessing, mitigating risks across the board, not treating BCP as some isolated silo.
So it's truly a living document, constantly being refined and integrated into the business fabric. And speaking of refinement, there are also some important considerations when creating an effective BCP, aren't there? It's not like a one-size-fits-all solution for every single business.
Precisely. OrView highlights 3 key considerations that can really impact a BCP's effectiveness. First, cultural differences. This is especially relevant for multinational companies or places with really diverse workforces. Cultural norms can profoundly impact communication styles, how decisions are made, even expectations during a crisis. A BCP needs to be sensitive to these differences to actually work on the ground. For instance, a culture valuing consensus might need predefined rapid decision paths for crises. Second, limited resources. Let's be realistic, most businesses don't have unlimited budgets, personnel, or physical space. The plan needs to prioritize critical functions, allocate resources efficiently, maybe even leverage external partners like suppliers or third-party recovery services to conserve internal resources. It's about smart allocation and effective implementation. Third, alignment with business objectives. The BCP shouldn't exist in a vacuum, separate from the company's strategic goals. It needs to accommodate objectives like market expansion, maybe relocating offices, or shifts in the competitive landscape. If the business is planning to open new global offices, the BCP needs to evolve with it. This ensures the continuity plan isn't just defensive, but actually enables growth and adaptation, fully supporting the overall governance structure.
That comprehensive view of business functions is definitely essential. But you mentioned IT implications earlier. A lot of what we're discussing relies heavily on technology, right? So is there a specific plan that handles the technical side, the actual mechanics of getting systems back online after a major hit?
Yes, exactly. And this brings us neatly to the second pillar, disaster recovery planning, or DRP. It's really crucial to understand that DRP is actually a component, a subset, of the broader BCP. While BCP ensures the continuity of business functions like payroll, customer service, sales, DRP specifically focuses on restoring the IT systems and infrastructure following a significant disruption. Ciampa points out that a BCP without a DRP means you can't restore your technical capabilities. Your business functions would simply have no systems to run on.
Right, makes sense.
Conversely, a DRP without that initial business impact analysis we talked about, you risk recovering non-critical systems first, wasting precious time and resources while essential services are still down. They really are symbiotic, two sides of the same coin in securing modern electronic data systems.
So the DRP is the technical lifeline, the detailed choreography for bringing the IT infrastructure back from the brink. What are the core elements we'd find in a typical DRP?
The key elements of a DRP are deeply technical, all focused on rapid restoration. They include detailed backup and recovery procedures, making sure data and system images are captured regularly and can be reliably restored. System redundancy, which we'll dive into more later, is built in to avoid single points of failure. Data replication ensures that real-time or near-real-time copies of critical data exist somewhere else, safe and sound. And crucially, rigorous testing and maintenance activities are performed regularly. The main purpose, as SBS notes, is to allow an organization to run its critical business functions from an alternate site, like a hot site, to avoid disruption while the primary site is being fixed. The importance of regular testing for DRPs really cannot be overstated. SBS also highlights these plans must be regularly revisited and exercised. This trains personnel and, just as importantly, reveals any slips, errors, or outdated assumptions in the plan. It's preventive maintenance and continuous evaluation rolled into one.
So without testing, it's just an expensive paperweight.
Pretty much. An untested DRP is a recipe for failure when you need it most.
Okay, so we have the master blueprint for the whole business, DCP, and the IT lifeline for major disasters, DRP. But what about those moments when a security event is actually happening right now? Like an attack is underway, we need a rapid tactical response for that, right? Something that kicks in immediately.
Exactly. And that's where the third pillar slots in. Incident response planning, or IRP. And IRP is essentially the game plan for dealing with unexpected security incidents, as the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, UTK puts it. It outlines specific step-by-step procedures for detecting, responding to, and recovering from security breaches. Think of it as a structured, phased approach to manage security events from the moment they're detected until they're resolved. It's designed to minimize chaos, maximize efficiency, and bring a sense of controlled urgency to what could otherwise be a panic situation. It's how organizations effectively monitor and respond to incidents as they unfold.
Why is having an IRP so incredibly crucial? I mean, beyond just stopping the immediate bleeding of an attack, is there a deeper value proposition for organizations in today's threat landscape?
Oh, absolutely. It's much more than just stopping the attack in the moment. UTK points out several vital reasons. First, it minimizes impact. A well-executed IRP significantly reduces the damage from breaches. Think of it like quickly putting out a small kitchen fire before it engulfs the whole house. Rapid response contains a breach before it spreads or exfiltrates huge amounts of data. Second, it protects reputation. In this age of instant news cycles, a swift, transparent, and effective response is key to maintaining customer trust and investor confidence. A botched response, on the other hand, can cause irreparable reputational harm.
Yeah, you see that happen sometimes.
Definitely. Third, it ensures regulatory compliance. Having and following an IRP helps organizations meet legal requirements for data protection and breach notification, potentially avoiding massive fines and lengthy legal battles. And critically, it facilitates continuous improvement. Detailed post-incident reviews, which are a key part of any good IRP, continuously enhance future defenses. This isn't just reactive, it's how organizations learn and adapt, turning every incident into a lesson that strengthens their overall security posture, refining their approaches and techniques based on real-world experience.
And it's not just the IT security team huddled in a room who need to know this plan, right? It sounds like everyone, from the top leadership down to the everyday user, has a part to play.
That's a common misconception, and a dangerous one during a crisis. You're absolutely right. Cybersecurity is a team sport. UTK emphasizes this strongly. End users are often the very first line of defense. Their ability to spot something suspicious, like a phishing email, and report it quickly can make all the difference. They act as crucial sensors for the system. Management plays a key role too. They allocate resources, understand the broader business impact, and need to make critical strategic decisions, often under immense pressure. And of course, IT professionals execute the technical aspects, the detection, containment, eradication, recovery. So, from the frontline employee interacting with emails to the senior leadership making strategic calls, everyone needs to understand their role in safeguarding information, ensuring message integrity, and responding effectively. It has to be a unified front.
Okay, so we've laid out these crucial plans. BCP for the big picture, DRP for the IT backbone, and IRP as the tactical playbook. But once a cyber incident actually hits, what's the structured process that kicks into gear? It can't just be chaos, right? There must be a sequence, an emergency protocol for these digital crises designed to manage operations and effectively monitor and respond.
Indeed. It's definitely not chaos. Well, it shouldn't be. It involves the tactical, immediate actions of incident response, which are then often followed by the more meticulous process of incident investigation, frequently referred to as digital forensics. Each step in this life cycle is critical, from initially containing the breach to thoroughly understanding it and learning from it to prevent future occurrences. It's about that continuous cycle. React, understand, adapt, improve, #tag of the 6 phases of incident response.
That groundwork and preparation is clearly vital. But when an alarm does sound, when a real security event starts to unfold, what's the immediate sequence teams follow to manage that situation? Our CompTIA Security Plus guide and other sources seem to agree on 6 distinct phases for effective incident response. What's the very first step, maybe even before the alarm?
Well, the first, and you could argue the most important phase, is 1, preparation. This is all about the proactive measures, laying the groundwork before anything happens. It involves rigorous training for staff, establishing crystal clear communication protocols, and making sure everyone thoroughly understands the relevant policies and procedures. Ciampa really stresses equipping IT staff, management, and end users to handle potential incidents. Make sure everyone knows their role beforehand. This phase also includes conducting testing exercises. These range from tabletops, which are basically informal discussion-based walkthroughs of scenarios, to more hands-on simulations that use realistic scenarios to rigorously test every step of the plan, from detection right through to recovery.
So practicing for the real thing.
Exactly. And a key part of preparation is also studying attack frameworks, like the well-known IDBEAR AT&CK framework. This documents common adversary tactics and techniques. Understanding these allows organizations to better anticipate and defend against potential threats, shifting from a purely reactive stance to a more proactive defense.
Okay, so laying the groundwork, anticipating attacks, absolutely crucial. What happens once something actually bypasses those defenses? When an alert goes off?
That leads us directly into 2, detection. This is the phase where you actually identify that a security event might be occurring. Often this comes from vigilant monitoring. Maybe an alert pops up from a SUN system, perhaps an employee reports a suspicious email they received, or an intrusion detection system flags unusual network traffic. It's all about recognizing those initial signs that something isn't right. Once an event is detected, you quickly move to 3, assessment, sometimes called identification. Here, the response team determines if the detected event is actually a legitimate security incident requiring a full response, or if it's just a false positive, noise. This involves rapidly analyzing the initial information log data, system alerts, user reports to differentiate real threats from benign anomalies. Getting this assessment right quickly is crucial. It prevents overreacting to non-issues and ensures genuine threats get immediate attention.
Right. And once that critical assessment confirms, yes, this is a real threat, what's the immediate number one challenge the team faces in that high-pressure moment? What do they have to get right first?
The absolute immediate priority is 4. Containment. This is often the most high-pressure phase. The team must quickly isolate the affected systems to prevent the incident from spreading and causing further damage. Think of it like firefighters creating a fire break to stop a wildfire. Swift, decisive action is absolutely critical here to limit the scope of the breach, protect the digital perimeter, and maintain the integrity of unaffected data and systems. This could involve taking infected machines offline, maybe segmenting the network to stop an attacker moving laterally, or blocking malicious IP addresses at the firewall. It's all about stopping the bleeding before it becomes a hemorrhage. Once the incident is successfully contained, the focus shifts to 5, eradication. This is about finding the root cause of the incident and thoroughly removing any malicious elements, malware, compromised accounts, unauthorized configurations, anything causing damage. It means deleting malware, patching the vulnerabilities that were exploited, reconfiguring systems securely, and making absolutely sure no backdoors or lingering threats remain. And this is where root cause analysis, or RCA, becomes crucial. It's not enough just to fix the symptom. You need to dig deeper and discover the underlying issues. Pulpstream mentions the 5 whys method, simply asking why repeatedly, as a straightforward but effective technique for this.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. Say a server was breached. You don't just restore it from backup. You ask, why was it breached? Maybe unpatched vulnerability. Why wasn't it patched? Patch wasn't deployed. Why wasn't the patch deployed? Process failure. Why did the process fail? Lack of oversight or resources? This ensures you address the systemic weaknesses, not just the immediate problem.
Got it. So not just stopping the bleeding, but truly healing the wound and figuring out how it happened in the first place to prevent it recurring. Then I guess it's about getting everything back to normal operations.
Exactly. Which brings us to the 6th phase. 6. Recovery. In this phase, affected systems are carefully restored to normal operation, ensuring no threat remains. This often relies heavily on those robust backup and recovery procedures we talked about in the DRP. You leverage data integrity checks and maybe encryption keys to restore systems to a known, trusted state. You need to meticulously verify that all systems are clean, fully functional, secure, and that all necessary data has been restored correctly. This might involve bringing systems back online in stages, reconnecting networks carefully, and reestablishing services for users.
And once everything is seemingly back online and running smoothly, is that really the end of it? Or is there a final, perhaps crucial step to make sure the organization actually learns and improves from the whole experience?
Absolutely. There's a vital post-incident step, often called lessons learned. This isn't just a nice to have. It's essential for that continuous process of analysis, implementation, evaluation, and maintenance in network security. It involves conducting a detailed post-incident analysis. What exactly happened? What went well during the response? What didn't go so well? And crucially, how can we improve future response efforts and strengthen our overall security posture? You complete all the incident documentation, analyze the findings to pinpoint root causes and contributing factors, and then communicate these results clearly to all relevant stakeholders from the technical teams right up to senior management. This feedback loop is absolutely essential for refining security measures, updating policies, perhaps identifying needs for new training, and ultimately reducing future risks. It's about turning a potentially damaging crisis into a valuable learning opportunity, ensuring the organization becomes more resilient against future computer-related risks.
That's a really clear breakdown of the response lifecycle. But sometimes an incident isn't just a quick fix, is it? Sometimes it requires a much deeper dive to understand the full picture, especially if there are legal implications, regulatory requirements, or just a need for profound organizational learning. That's where incident investigation and digital forensics come into play, right? Sounds like a job for digital detectives.
Precisely. After the immediate fire is out, so to speak, the incident is contained, systems are recovering. A meticulous process of digital forensics often kicks off. Ciampa and SBS define it as the systematic process of collecting, preserving, analyzing, and presenting digital evidence in a way that's legally admissible, should it come to that. Its purpose is really multifaceted. It aims to identify the cause of the incident, sometimes attribute responsibility, though, importantly, that's not always the primary goal initially, and uncover the threat actors' techniques, tactics, and procedures, their TTPs. Critically, as Pulpstream and CCOHS emphasize, the initial goal is almost always to find the facts that lead to corrective actions and prevent recurrence. It's not about finding fault or assigning blame right out of the gate. That distinction is vital for conducting a fair and effective investigation, as it encourages cooperation rather than defensiveness. This is a highly specialized skill, absolutely essential for securing modern electronic data systems.
Okay, so why go to all this extra trouble? Beyond just satisfying curiosity about what happened, what are the broader benefits of conducting such a thorough investigation?
There are really compelling reasons, as outlined by Pulpstream and CCOHS. Most importantly, it helps you find the true root causes and implement changes to prevent similar incidents from happening again. That ensures long-term security improvement. It also identifies gaps or weaknesses in your existing risk controls or maybe even compliance with health and safety regulations, allowing you to fix them before they're exploited again. In some situations, like workers' compensation claims or cyber insurance claims, insurers often require detailed investigation findings before they'll process the claim. Legally, conducting a thorough, documented investigation demonstrates proactiveness and due diligence. It shows a positive attitude towards safety and security, which can significantly reduce potential legal liabilities and fines down the line. And beyond the tangible benefits, it can actually boost employee morale by showing that the organization is genuinely committed to health, safety, and security, demonstrating that continuous process of analysis and evaluation where lessons learned are actually applied. It also helps improve internal messaging and information integrity.
That makes a lot of sense, especially the focus on finding causes, not blame. So, when and where should these investigations ideally happen, and who should be involved? It sounds like it requires specific expertise and a very careful, methodical approach.
Good questions. For logistics, investigation should ideally be conducted as soon as possible after the incident occurs. Time is critical because digital evidence is incredibly volatile. It can be easily altered, overwritten, or deleted intentionally or unintentionally. And ideally, the investigation should happen at the incident location to preserve the context and make evidence collection easier and more reliable. Remote investigations are rarely as effective because you lose that physical context, and maintaining the chain of custody for evidence becomes much harder. As for who should be involved, ideally the team should be led by individuals with formal training in digital forensics. They need deep knowledge of legal and organizational requirements, perhaps occupational health and safety, OHS principles, if physical incidents are involved, the specific work processes related to the incident, and strong interviewing skills. For incidents with wide-ranging impact, a multidisciplinary team is often necessary, bringing together IT security, legal counsel, HR, maybe even IR, alongside the trained forensic investigators. And it's absolutely crucial to be aware of inherent biases. An investigator who, say, always defaults to blaming human error, might overlook critical systemic issues in technology or processes. Objectivity is key.
Okay, let's get into the actual steps then. If you're leading an incident investigation, what are the key phases you need to follow to conduct that assessment effectively and build a solid case for improvement?
Right. Pulpstream and Ciampa outline about 6 key steps for an effective incident investigation process, all designed to be methodical and legally sound. The very first step is 1. Secure the scene. If there's any physical component or injury involved, providing medical assistance is the absolute first priority. Only after ensuring everyone's safety do you meticulously preserve any physical evidence, using cones, barriers, whatever it takes to prevent contamination or tampering. You need to document the scene immediately. Photos, videos, maybe CCTV footage, note environmental conditions too, weather, lighting, specific equipment involved. This ensures the integrity of the evidence right from the start, adhering to principles of physical security. Second, U2. Plan the investigation. This isn't just rushing in. It means taking a systematic approach. Decide who needs to be involved from the different teams, estimate how long it might take, identify the resources required. It's highly recommended to have an investigation kit ready to go. Things like personal protective equipment, PPE, measuring tape, standardized interview forms, maybe sample containers for physical evidence if needed. This structured planning helps manage the investigation efficiently. Third, and this is a big one, 3, collect all relevant information. This is the critical data gathering phase. Sources are broad. People involved and any witnesses typically gathered through careful interviews. When interviewing, it's crucial to use open-ended questions, listen actively without interrupting too much, clarify any inconsistencies gently, and always reassure interviewees that the goal is understanding causes, not assigning blame. Interviewing them near the scene can sometimes help jog their memory. You also gather data from any equipment involved and crucial documents like maintenance logs, system logs, user training histories, previous incident reports. Digital solutions like specialized incident management systems can really streamline documenting all this data.
And what about the digital side of data collection?
Right, beyond the human accounts, you collect a vast amount of technical data. Various log files from applications, networks, firewalls, operating systems, IDCPS systems, metadata, network traffic logs, system snapshots, which are like images of a system state at a specific moment, memory dumps, capturing what was in the system's RAM, user activity logs, and even deep packet captures, recording the actual network traffic. This provides a comprehensive, granular view of system activity and helps reconstruct the attack timeline, absolutely crucial for digital forensics.
Wow, that's a lot of data from human interviews to deep technical logs. Once you have all that, how do you possibly make sense of it all? How do you find out what really happened, not just the surface symptoms?
That's the fourth step. 4. Analyze collected data to find the root cause. Incidents, especially complex ones, are rarely caused by a single event. They're usually the result of a chain of interconnected events, sometimes described using the Swiss cheese model, where multiple failures or weaknesses align just right to allow an incident. So understanding the sequence and interplay of these events is crucial. This is where root cause analysis, RCA techniques, like the 5 whys we discussed, become invaluable. They help you peel back the layers and uncover systemic issues rather than just stopping at surface-level human error. Using that phishing example again, why did the employee click? Lack of training. Why insufficient training? Outdated materials. Why outdated? No budget. Why no budget? Management didn't prioritize it. You have to consider all contributing factors: equipment failure, environmental conditions, weaknesses in management systems or processes, even worker abilities or stressors. The goal is identifying the fundamental problems that enable the incident, tying directly back to risk analysis and governance. 5th, and this is critical, you must 5, implement corrective actions. Finding the root cause is only useful if you actually do something about it. An action plan needs to be created promptly to address both the immediate causes and those underlying root causes. This plan should assign clear responsibilities, set realistic deadlines, and track progress. Digital platforms can really help streamline this tracking. These actions could involve anything from patching systems and updating security policies to retraining staff or investing in new security technologies. This step embodies the implementation and evaluation of new, improved security measures. And finally, step 6. 6. Document and share the results. Meticulous documentation after every single incident is vital. It forms a valuable internal database of risks, vulnerabilities, and lessons learned, providing historical context for future threats. Investigation reports, perhaps shorter fact sheets or security alerts, need to be generated and shared appropriately with relevant stakeholders. It's often good practice to get sign-off from key involved parties, like supervisors, maybe witnesses, safety officers, to confirm the factual accuracy. Then communicate the findings and recommendations clearly to both management and the workforce. Recommendations should always be specific, constructive, identify those root and contributing causes, and crucially, avoid suggesting disciplinary actions. The focus should be squarely on system improvements, preventative measures, and updated training. This entire process reinforces that continuous evaluation and maintenance cycle of network and system security, making every incident a profound learning opportunity.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about preparing for incidents with BCP, DRP, IRP, and then investigating them thoroughly with digital forensics. But now, how do we build systems that can actually withstand disruptions in the first place? Even before an incident requires a full response team. How do we proactively harden our environment to secure these modern electronic data systems from the ground up?
Right. This is where we shift focus from reactive planning to proactive defense-building systems that are inherently designed to withstand disruption. And the answer really lies in achieving resilience through redundancy. It's essentially about having backup plans for your backup plans, or maybe spare parts ready to go instantly. It's a fundamental principle for minimizing the impact of any single failure or disruption, ensuring that your systems remain available and your data maintains its integrity even when facing unexpected challenges. Think of it as building multiple roads to the same destination, or having spare tires ready for every critical component of your infrastructure. It's a core part of a robust physical and logical security strategy.
Redundancy, yeah, that sounds like extra stuff, which usually means extra costs. What exactly does it mean in the context of data centers and networks? And why is it considered so essential, given those potential costs?
Well, at its core, data center and network redundancy is about provisioning duplicate or extra hardware. That could be power supplies, servers, storage devices, network switches, routers, even entire network paths, all to prevent downtime. As Alvik puts it quite simply, more redundancy equals more reliability. And this is critical because, honestly, hardware and power supply failures are incredibly common threats. Pivot Global reported some staggering figures. Something like 80% of data centers experienced outages in the last 3 years. And get this, 43% of those were due to failures in the uninterruptible power supply, UPS alone.
Wow, nearly half just from UPS issues.
Exactly. Redundancy directly mitigates these kinds of risks by providing immediate failover capabilities. Imagine, say, a regional fiber optic cable gets cut, taking down a major internet service provider for a bank. Without redundant network paths through a different provider, millions of transactions could just halt instantly. That leads to massive financial losses, huge customer frustration, and significant reputational damage. Redundancy is often the difference between a minor hiccup the users barely notice and a full-blown catastrophe.
Okay, that statistic about power issues is a stark reminder, and the IST example makes the network vulnerability very clear. So are there different ways to approach redundancy, or is it just about having an exact mirror image of everything?
No, there are definitely different approaches, and the choice often comes down to balancing the cost an organization is willing or able to invest against the amount of downtime they can actually tolerate for a given system. OVAC highlights two main forms. The first is fault tolerance. This involves complete hardware duplication, essentially running two identical systems side by side in perfect sync. If one system fails, the other takes over instantaneously, resulting in near-zero downtime. Think of it like having two identical engines in a plane, both running simultaneously. If one sputters, the other is already carrying the load without missing a beat. It's incredibly robust, but as you can imagine, it's also highly expensive, often doubling hardware costs, power consumption, maintenance effort. The second main type is high availability. This typically involves using a cluster of servers that monitor each other, ready to take over if one fails. This is known as failover capacity. If a problem occurs on the primary server, a backup server can take over its workload. However, there might be a minor service impact during that switchover. Perhaps a brief pause, maybe a few lost network packets, depending on the setup.
It's generally less expensive than full fault tolerance, but still provides significant protection against disruptions.
So the choice depends on criticality and budget.
Precisely. For a life support system in a hospital, you'd absolutely demand fault tolerance. For an internal departmental reporting tool, high availability might be perfectly adequate and much more cost-effective.
Okay, so it's about that calculated balance between cost and the need for immediate, uninterrupted uptime. How is this redundancy actually implemented across all the different pieces of an IT infrastructure? Where do we see the strategy in action, protecting information and ensuring database integrity?
Redundancy is, or at least should be, woven into virtually every layer of the IT infrastructure stack. The goal is to eliminate single points of failure wherever possible. For servers, a common technique is clustering. Multiple physical or virtual servers are grouped together and function as a single logical unit from the application's perspective. If one server in the cluster fails, another one immediately picks up its workload, often seamlessly. For drives within servers or storage arrays, RAID, redundant array of independent disks, is the standard. It protects data by distributing it, and sometimes parity information, across multiple physical drives. If one drive fails, the data can usually be reconstructed from the remaining drives in the array, preventing data loss. In networks, redundancy means having multiple diverse physical paths for traffic to flow. OVAC mentions protocols like LACP, Link Aggregation Control Protocol, which allows you to bundle multiple physical network connections together into one logical link. This increases bandwidth and provides resilience if one physical link fails. Traffic continues over the remaining ones. Spanning Tree Protocol, STP, and its faster variants like RSTP, Rapid STP, or MSTP, Multiple STP, are crucial at layer 2 of the network model. They prevent dangerous network loops when you have redundant paths, while still allowing those paths to be used for failover. For ensuring the default gateway, the router your devices use to reach other networks, is always available, protocols like HSRP, Hot Standby Routing Protocol, or VRRP, Virtual Router Redundancy Protocol, are used at layer 3. These allow multiple physical routers to share a single virtual IP address. If the active router fails, a standby router instantly takes over that virtual IP, so devices don't lose connectivity. And for dynamically rerouting traffic between different network devices or sites, dynamic routing protocols like OSPF, EIGRP, and BGP are essential. They automatically learn network paths and quickly find alternative routes if a primary path fails, maintaining connectivity across the wider network.
That covers servers, drives, networks. What about the absolute basics, like power?
Foundational, absolutely. For power sources, you need multiple layers. Uninterruptible power supplies, UPS, provide temporary battery backup during short outages or brownouts. This gives systems time to shut down gracefully, or, more commonly, allows backup generators, powered by diesel, natural gas, or propane, to start up and take over,
providing longer-term power to keep operations running during extended outages. For physical sites, organizations often employ geographically dispersed data centers or recovery sites. A hot site is like having an identical twin data center ready to go almost instantly. It's a fully equipped duplicate production site with all the necessary hardware, software, and a live replicated data feed and telecommunications link. Failover can happen very quickly, sometimes in minutes. A warm site is a step down. It's a remote site that has computer equipment already racked and ready, but it might lack the active internet telecom links or the most current data backups. You need time to bring in recent data and fully activate the connections. Think of it as having the infrastructure, but needing setup time. A cold site is basically just an empty, prepared space, a remote office or data center shell with power and cooling. But the customer has to provide and install all their own equipment from scratch after a disaster. It's the least expensive option, but obviously takes the longest time to become operational. Geographic dispersal itself is a form of redundancy. Distributing data centers across different regions mitigates risks from localized disasters like hurricanes, earthquakes, or even major power grid failures. In cloud environments, redundancy takes several forms. Multi-cloud strategies, spreading workloads across multiple providers like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, provide redundancy against provider-specific outages or issues. Cloud storage inherently offers redundancy, usually storing multiple copies of data across different physical locations within a region or even across regions. And backup as a service, BCIS, offerings provide managed backup and recovery solutions, ensuring data availability across various environments. And of course, data redundancy itself is vital. This involves data copy calculations, carefully estimating the storage capacity needed for backups and replicas, considering factors like data growth rate, how long data needs to be kept, retention policies, and those crucial recovery objectives. RPO, recovery point objective, the maximum acceptable data loss measured in time. AG, we can afford to lose up to 15 minutes of data. And RTO, recovery time objective, the maximum tolerable downtime. AG, systems must be back online within 4 hours.
RPO and RTO, right? Key metrics.
Absolutely key for planning.
Yeah.
Then you have different types of data copies. Scheduled backups, like full backups taken weekly, differentials daily, incrementals hourly, capture data at specific points in time. Continuous replication creates near real-time copies of data, often used for critical systems requiring minimal data loss, using synchronous replication for zero loss or asynchronous for near zero loss. Storage locations for these copies need to be considered. On-site, for fast recovery of recent data, off-site, at a separate physical location to protect against local disasters, and increasingly, cloud-based storage, offering scalability, geographic dispersal, and often cost benefits. Finally, data encryption is absolutely non-negotiable for both data at rest, stored on drives or tapes, and data in transit, moving across the network. Encryption ensures that even if cybercriminals manage to access the redundant copies, they can't actually decipher the data, maintaining database integrity and confidentiality.
That's an incredible amount of detail, showing how redundancy is woven into almost every single part of the IT infrastructure. Are there also different, standardized levels or tiers of redundancy that data centers aim for? Sort of like a reliability rating system.
Yes, exactly. Pivot Global explains data center redundancy levels using the N terminology. N basically represents the minimum number of essential components, like power units, cooling units, servers, required for the data center or a specific system to operate normally. For example, if a rack of 8 servers needs 2 power distribution units, PDUs, to run, then N for PDUs is 2, and N for servers is 8 in that rack. These N levels indicate the degree of resilience built in. N, or basic. This means you have just the bare minimum required capacity. If any single N component fails, the system or data center likely goes down. It's the cheapest configuration but carries the highest risk, N+1. This means you have the minimum required capacity plus 1 additional independent spare component. So in our example, you'd have 3 PDUs, N+1 equals 2+1. This provides protection against a single component failure. If one PDU fails, the spare takes over. It's a common level of redundancy, balancing cost and reliability, but it isn't fully resilient if multiple failures occur simultaneously. 2N. This means you have 2 complete independent sets of the minimum required capacity, often running in parallel. So for our example, you'd have 4 PDUs, 2N equals 2, typically split into 2 separate power paths, A path and B path. This provides a much higher level of fault tolerance, as an entire path can fail without impacting operations. It's much more risk-averse, but also significantly more expensive due to the complete duplication. 2N+1. This combines 2N redundancy with an additional spare on top, N+1 applied to the 2N setup. It offers the highest level of reliability, but is incredibly expensive and complex. You might see this for the absolute most critical systems where even the slightest chance of downtime is unacceptable. 3N2. or distributed redundancy. This is a more complex distributed approach, often used for large power or cooling systems. It aims to provide reliability close to 2N, but potentially at a lower cost by distributing the redundant capacity across multiple smaller units in a shared way. It's about being clever with resource allocation.
Okay, so it really is about making a very calculated decision based on risk tolerance, the criticality of the specific systems, and of course the budget available. What are the main overarching benefits organizations get from investing in all these layers of redundancy beyond just avoiding that costly downtime?
The benefits are pretty substantial and go beyond just keeping the lights on. They impact operations, reputation, even market position. First, obviously, increased reliability. Critical infrastructure components have backups ready to take over instantly, drastically reducing the likelihood of a single point of failure causing a major outage. This directly leads to better uptime and availability. Higher uptime allows data centers and businesses to meet service level agreements, SLAs, and achieve higher industry tier rankings, like the Uptime Institute tiers. A higher tier rating enhances reputation, attracts more demanding clients, and becomes a powerful marketing point signaling to customers that their data and services are hosted in a highly reliable environment. Finally, redundancy can significantly aid in DDoS attack mitigation. Distributed denial of service attacks aim to overwhelm systems with malicious traffic. By using multiple internet service providers, ISPs, and geographically dispersed data centers, services can often be rerouted during an attack, absorbing or deflecting the malicious traffic and maintaining service availability. This improves overall network security and ensures those vital internet connections remain stable.
That DDoS point is interesting. I hadn't thought about redundancy in that context.
Yeah, having multiple ingress points and the ability to shift traffic is a key defense strategy. Think about a major online retailer during a peak shopping season. They likely route traffic through multiple ISPs and potentially multiple content delivery networks, CDNs. If one path comes under a DDoS attack, their dynamic routing, using BGP for example, can automatically shift traffic to the other paths, hopefully keeping the site accessible to legitimate customers. It's redundancy in action protecting revenue and reputation.
It really sounds like a complete no-brainer then for any organization that relies heavily on its digital infrastructure. But does adding all this complexity, all these extra devices and paths, make the systems harder to manage? Are there tips for keeping redundancy effective without making everything overwhelmingly complicated, especially for the folks who have to implement and maintain these systems day to day?
That's a really important question, because complexity can absolutely become the enemy of reliability and security if not managed carefully. Alvik makes his point, well, the ultimate goal should be maximum availability with minimum complexity. Easier said than done sometimes, but here are some key tips. Use identical systems with identical connections whenever possible. Deploying exact duplicates like using stackable switches from the same vendor, running the same firmware version with identical port configurations dramatically simplifies management, troubleshooting, and spare parts inventory. Consistency reduces errors. Embrace simple redundancy protocols. Often, using a vendor's built-in proprietary failover mechanism for devices like firewalls is simpler and more reliable than trying to implement complex, open standard routing protocols just for redundancy between two devices. Choose the simplest configuration that reliably meets your redundancy needs. Don't over-engineer it just because you can. Keep everything parallel. Design your redundant paths clearly in A path and a B path, and ensure they have crossover connections at each critical layer: power, network, storage. This makes the flow easy to understand and ensures that a failure on one path doesn't take down the other. Visualizing it helps. Never do more than you need to. Carefully evaluate if adding yet another layer of redundancy actually provides enough functional benefit to justify the added complexity, cost, potential for misconfiguration, and increased management overhead. It's always a balancing act. Utilize cookie cutters or templates. Standardize your network topology, your VLAN assignments, your IP addressing schemes, maybe even server build configurations. Using consistent models across multiple data centers, wiring closets, or server racks reduces human error during deployment and troubleshooting and significantly speeds up implementation. By following these kinds of principles, organizations can build truly resilient systems that effectively protect their data and operations without creating unmanageable monsters. It's about smart design, focusing on achieving that maximum availability with the minimum necessary complexity, ensuring the optimal implementation and ongoing evaluation of security measures.
Okay, so we've really broken down the what and the how of securing systems. We've gone from strategic planning with BCP, DRP, and IRP through detailed incident investigation using digital forensics and landed on the foundational power of redundancy. But now let's really connect this back to your future, the listener's future. What does all this technical and strategic knowledge actually mean for your career prospects, especially if you're looking at a dynamic, fast-growing market like Dallas-Fort Worth? How do these deep insights translate into real, tangible career opportunities?
That's a great question, and it's really about bridging that gap between the academic knowledge you gain in programs like those at Tarleton and the specific demands of the industry out there. The DFW Metroplex, as we'll see, offers some incredible opportunities in cybersecurity, but understanding the nuances of the competitive landscape is absolutely key to unlocking them. This is precisely where your knowledge of computer-related risks, securing modern systems, managing operations, and responding to incidents can truly set you apart, demonstrating you can implement, configure, and manage real-world security measures effectively.
Let's start with the market outlook then. The research we looked at paints a really positive picture for cybersecurity careers in DFW. Can you give us a sense of the numbers, the growth, and what's really driving this high demand in the region?
Yeah, the outlook for DFW is exceptionally positive. It's consistently ranked as one of the top hubs for cybersecurity talent in the U.S. We're talking about projections of over 12,000 cybersecurity-related positions right here in the DFW area, with an impressive average annual salary hovering around $115,000. This huge demand is largely fueled by the concentration of major industries headquartered or with significant operations here. I think aerospace and defense contractors, major healthcare systems, and especially financial services. Companies like JPMorgan Chase, Capital One, Toyota, PepsiCo, they all have massive footprints and critical security needs. We're even seeing specific projected growth figures, something like 21% growth in government cybersecurity roles and 16% in finance sector roles by 2024 alone. That signals a really strong, sustained, long-term need for skilled professionals in these critical sectors. The job market here clearly reflects that continuous cycle of analysis, implementation, and evaluation of security measures across the board.
Those numbers are definitely motivating for students and early career folks listening. But the research also mentions something called the experience paradox. What exactly is that? And why is it a potential challenge for new graduates trying to break into such a seemingly hot job market? It sounds a bit like that classic can't get a job without experience, can't get experience without a job catch-22. Many listeners are probably nodding along, wondering how to crack that code.
You've hit the nail on the head. The experience paradox is a very real, critical challenge for newcomers to the field, despite the high overall demand. While the total number of cybersecurity jobs is high, a significant portion of the open roles, perhaps even the majority in some surveys, are actually for mid-level or senior-level positions. They often require 5, sometimes even 7 or more years of prior relevant experience. You look at job boards and you see postings littered with titles like Senior Cybersecurity Analyst, Lead Security Engineer, Security Manager, Principal IT Security Consultant. This creates a significant barrier for entry-level candidates. There's this mismatch. Huge demand for experienced talent, but a real struggle for new graduates to land that crucial first role to gain that foundational experience. So while the overall pie is large, getting that initial slice requires a deliberate, strategic approach. Hashtag primary career pathways and the salary benchmarks for your skills.
Right. That's a really important reality check for our listeners. The landscape is definitely ripe with opportunity, but getting that first foot in the door requires strategy. Given this competitive environment, what are some of the primary career pathways that directly align with the incident response, investigation, and resilience skills we've been discussing today? And what kind of salary benchmarks can listeners realistically expect for these roles here in the DFW area?
Okay, focusing on the skills we've covered, 3 primary career pathways stand out for graduates entering the field. They offer distinct focuses, but all leverage these core competencies, and they come with compelling salary outlooks right here in DFW. First, there's the Cybersecurity Incident Response Analyst. This role is really your first line of defense, the rapid reaction force when a security breach is suspected or detected. These analysts monitor security systems, perform that initial detection and assessment we talked about, coordinate containment, eradication, and recovery efforts during an active incident, and meticulously document everything throughout the process. It's often a high-pressure role requiring cool-headedness and the ability to work effectively under stress, directly aligning with the skills of monitoring and responding to incidents. In the Dallas market, the average annual salary for an incident response analyst is around $95,578, with top earners often exceeding $121,000, especially with a few years under their belt. Second, you have the digital forensics analyst. This is a much more specialized investigative role, the digital detective, essentially. Responsibilities here include conducting deep forensic analysis of compromised systems, networks, mobile devices, log files, you name it.
They meticulously collect, preserve, and analyze digital evidence, ensuring it's handled in a way that's legally admissible. They perform that deep root cause analysis to figure out exactly how an attack happened, what data was affected, and potentially who was behind it. You need proficiency in specialized forensic tools, which we can touch on, and the ability to write detailed expert reports that might be used in legal proceedings or internal investigations. This role heavily leverages skills related to evidence handling, physical security, database integrity analysis, encryption knowledge, and deep risk analysis. The average annual salary for a digital forensics analyst in Dallas is notably higher, around $121,553, with senior-level analysts potentially earning closer to $149,000 or more.
So quite a jump for that specialization.
It reflects the specialized skills and often the legal implications involved, yes. Third, there's the Business Continuity and Disaster Recovery Analyst Manager. This pathway shifts the focus more towards strategic planning and the management of overall organizational resilience. Responsibilities include conducting those comprehensive business impact analyses, BIAs, developing, maintaining, and testing the BCP and DRP documents, coordinating planning efforts across various business departments, running drills and simulations, and ensuring the organization stays compliant with relevant regulations. These roles require a strong understanding of risk analysis, governance frameworks, and how to effectively implement and evaluate security and continuity measures from a strategic, business-focused perspective. The average annual salary for a BCDR manager in Dallas is typically around $119,818, with the majority falling in a range between roughly $94,500 and $138,500, depending on experience and scope of responsibility. #TAG curriculum to market alignment at Tarleton State University, Dr. Ciampa College of Business.
Those are definitely impressive figures, really highlighting the value employers place on these skills and the potential return on investment for pursuing education in this field. For our students listening from Tarleton's Dr. Ciampa College of Business, how does their current curriculum, especially courses like BCIS 4345, network and system security, directly prepare them for these specific high-demand roles?
Well, the Dr. Ciampa College of Business has definitely put strategic thought into designing its programs to provide a strong foundation for these cybersecurity careers. A core strength is the integrated cybersecurity certificate that students can pursue alongside their BBA in MIS, BOPIS in IT, or BS and CIS degree. This certificate, which naturally includes courses like BCIS 4345 focused on network and system security, offers really valuable hands-on, directly applicable learning experiences. For example, courses like computer forensics, BCIS 4320, and ethical hacking and network defense, BCIS 4342, explicitly use current security, forensic, and penetration testing software. This gives students practical experience with the tools and techniques used in the real world, providing a significant competitive edge. Furthermore, the curriculum is specifically designed to help prepare students for the CompTIA Security Plus certification exam. That's a widely recognized and respected foundational credential in the industry. Passing it validates their core knowledge of computer-related risks, fundamental security concepts, and how to implement basic security measures. It's often a baseline requirement for entry-level security roles.
That hands-on experience with tools and the certification prep sounds absolutely invaluable for building those foundational skills. How do the different degree programs themselves, the BS and CIS, BAS and IT, BBA and MIS, specifically align with these different career paths we've discussed, considering their unique focuses and strengths?
That's a great point. Each program at Tarleton offers a slightly different flavor and alignment, shaping graduates for distinct facets of the cybersecurity landscape. The BS in CIS, Bachelor of Science in Computer Information Systems, with its strong emphasis on deep technical skills think courses in C# programming, systems analysis and design, database theory and practice, is really an ideal fit for those highly technical hands-on roles. Think digital forensics analyst, or maybe a security engineer. This program provides the granular technical knowledge needed to analyze systems, code, and data at a very deep level and to implement complex security solutions. The BAS in IT, Bachelor of Applied Arts in Sciences and Information Technology, has perhaps a broader focus on the overall IT infrastructure, including courses like web development, database management, and operating systems theory. This makes it exceptionally well-suited for roles in IT operations that support the underlying infrastructure needed for effective incident response and disaster recovery. Graduates from this program are often adept at configuring, managing, and maintaining the backbone systems, the servers, networks, operating systems that security relies upon, ensuring those secure electronic data systems are actually available and resilient. Then you have the BBA in MIS, Bachelor of Business Administration and Management Information Systems, and the MS in IS, Master of Science in Information Systems programs, these are uniquely positioned for the more strategic business-oriented aspects of the field. The BBA in MIS really emphasizes applying technology to solve real-world business problems, blending technical understanding with strong business acumen. The MS and IS builds significantly on this, with a curriculum heavily focused on areas like IT project management, strategic information systems, business intelligence, and IT governance.
So they bridge the gap between tech and business.
Exactly. Graduates from these MIS and IS programs are exceptionally well prepared for those higher-level strategic roles like business continuity manager, IT risk consultant, or IT auditor. They understand both the technology and the business context. They can act as crucial translators, bridging the gap between complex technical details and critical business outcomes, understanding the financial, legal, and reputational implications. They really grasp the full scope of security analysis, implementation, evaluation, governance, and future trends.
That provides a really clear roadmap from the different academic paths straight into the workforce. But even with strong curriculum alignment like Tarleton offers, there are always areas for individual growth, especially when facing that challenging experience paradox. What are some of the key skills gaps that Tarleton graduates or any aspiring cybersecurity pro should proactively focus on to truly stand out in this competitive DFW market?
Right. Despite the solid curriculum foundation, the reality of the job market and feedback from employers reveal specific areas where aspiring professionals can really enhance their competitiveness. First, hard skills and specific tool proficiency. While the curriculum, as mentioned, uses current security, forensic, and penetration testing software, employers and job descriptions consistently seek demonstrated proficiency with specific, named, industry-standard tools. For instance, postings for incident response roles frequently mention specific SIM, security information event management technologies like Splunk, QRAR, or logarithm tools used for centralizing and analyzing security logs at scale. For forensic roles, they'll often list specific tools like FTK, Forensic Toolkit, Ncase, SleuthKit, open source, maybe even specialized tools like Hexedit, a hex editor for deep file analysis, or IDA Pro, a powerful disassembler.
So knowing the concepts isn't quite enough.
It's a great start, but hands-on familiarity with the actual tools used day-to-day is a huge differentiator. The key takeaway here is, actively seek out opportunities maybe through online labs like TryHackMe or Hack the Box, free vendor training, or even independent projects to get direct hands-on experience with these specific tools that you see mentioned repeatedly in DFW job postings. Building this familiarity will dramatically improve your ability to hit the ground running and effectively implement, configure, and manage security operations. Second, there's a significant soft skills premium. Success in cybersecurity isn't solely about technical wizardry. Employers consistently, almost universally, emphasize the need for excellent communication skills, both written and verbal. The ability to work effectively in cross-functional teams, you'll be talking to legal, HR, management, other IT teams, and maintaining composure and clear thinking under extreme pressure, like during a major incident. And that translator ability we mentioned. Being able to distill complex technical findings into clear, concise, actionable reports or presentations for non-technical stakeholders like senior management, the board, legal teams, sometimes even customers, is a major competitive advantage. It's often what separates a good analyst from a great one. The BBA and MIS and MS and IS programs, with their built-in focus on business communication and strategic thinking, really position graduates well here. Third, addressing the professional certification and experience gap head-on. While CompTIA Security Plus is an excellent foundational certification, many mid to senior level roles, and even some specialized entry-level roles, will demand or strongly prefer more advanced credentials. These might include GIA certifications like the GCFA, Certified Forensic Analyst, or GCIH, Certified Incident Handler, or broader management governance certs like the CISSP, Certified Information System Security Professional, or CISIMA, Certified Information Security Manager. These validate deeper expertise and are often prerequisites for climbing the ladder. And circling back to the paradox, most roles simply aren't entry-level. They often require at least 2-3 years of prior relevant experience. This makes internships, co-op programs, significant hands-on projects, maybe even volunteer work in the field, Not just nice-to-haves, but absolute necessities for new graduates aiming to compete effectively and gain that crucial experience in managing real-world operations. #tag actionable recommendations for your competitive future.
Okay, so that's a very clear picture of both the opportunities and the hurdles, especially with that experience paradox constantly looming. For our listeners, whether they're current students figuring out their path or early career professionals looking to advance, what are some concrete, actionable recommendations they can start working on right now to build a truly competitive future in cybersecurity here in the DFW Metroplex? How can they make sure they're ready to analyze, implement, evaluate, and maintain secure systems effectively?
Absolutely. To really thrive in this dynamic DFW market, you need a strategic toolkit and, importantly, a proactive mindset. Here are 4 key recommendations. First, mind the gap. Aggressively prioritize securing internships, co-op opportunities, or even relevant part-time jobs with DFW-based companies. Start this process early in your academic journey. Don't wait until your final semester. This is arguably the single most effective way to directly address that experience paradox and acquire the practical, hands-on knowledge employers are desperately seeking. These experiences are invaluable for understanding real-world computer-related risks and the best practices for securing modern systems. Second, certify your skills strategically. Treat the CompTIA Security Plus as your foundational requirement. It's your entry ticket, proving you know the basics. Then think about specialization based on your career interests. If digital forensics excites you, target relevant GIAC certifications like the GCFA after you've gained some initial hands-on experience.
If your goal is management or strategic roles focusing on governance and risk analysis, plan towards this CSM or CISSP, again after gaining the required professional experience, usually several years. These certifications validate specialized expertise and demonstrate a commitment to continuous learning in this rapidly evolving field, showing dedication to effective implementation and evaluation. Third, build a tangible portfolio. Don't just rely on your degree, certificate, and resume. Actively compile a portfolio showcasing your work. This should include things like well-written formal reports from your lab exercises or class projects, maybe summaries of independent research you've done, detailed documentation from mock incident response simulations you participated in, perhaps even contributions to open-source security projects if applicable. This portfolio serves as concrete, tangible evidence of your practical skills, your ability to apply different approaches and techniques, and your capacity to produce high-quality professional documentation showcasing your implementation skills and understanding of effective messaging.
So proof of what you can actually do.
Exactly. Show, don't just tell. And finally, fourth, network aggressively. Don't underestimate the power of connections. Actively join and participate in professional organizations. Look for local DFW chapters of groups like ISA, Information Systems Security Association, or ISA, previously Information Systems Audit and Control Association. Attend DFW-based industry conferences, cybersecurity meetups, university career fairs, even relevant online forums and communities. These connections can lead to invaluable mentorship, insights into industry trends, access to job opportunities that might never be publicly advertised, the hidden job market, and a much deeper understanding of the future directions in network and systems security. This is key to evaluating your position in the market and ensuring your continuous professional growth. #tag high outro.
Well, today we've really peeled back the layers of network and systems security, haven't we? We explored those indispensable pillars: business continuity, incident response, and digital forensics. We saw how building in redundancy can safeguard our critical digital assets, potentially turning what could be crises into mere hiccups. And crucially, we connected all these deep technical and strategic insights directly to high-demand, high-paying career paths available right here in the DFW Metroplex. The listener's ability to understand, implement, and analyze these processes, managing computer-related risks, securing modern systems, ensuring data integrity, handling physical security, mastering risk analysis and encryption, navigating future trends, it's clearly not just an academic exercise anymore. It's the foundational bedrock of a resilient, successful, and rewarding professional journey in cybersecurity.
Yeah, we started off by asking that question. What happens when your digital world goes dark? Hopefully, you now have a much more comprehensive understanding of the strategies, the dedicated teams, and the technologies that work together to ensure the lights stay on, protecting businesses and the critical data they absolutely depend on. You're being equipped, through your studies and experiences, to be the kind of person who can step confidently into that moment of crisis, conduct thorough analysis, lead effective implementation of response and recovery plans, and help navigate the organization back to safety. It's a vital role in our interconnected world, one that constantly evolves through ongoing evaluation and maintenance.
Absolutely. So if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, maybe given you a new perspective or a competitive edge, Please do take a moment to like, subscribe, and perhaps share it with others in your network who could benefit. And don't forget all those valuable resources we discussed, details on the CompTIA Security Plus guide, mentions of specific tools, links to professional organizations. They're all linked down in the description below. They can really guide you to further explore these vital topics and help bolster your career prospects.
So as a final thought for you to maybe mull over, what single aspect of incident preparation or investigation do you personally believe will become the most critical challenge or focus area for businesses over the next 5 years? Especially considering the incredibly rapid evolution of cyber threats, maybe particularly with emerging AI technologies shaking things up.
Stay connected, stay secure. Until next time, keep your network strong, your data protected, and your curiosity alive.